Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most popular MMORPGs available right now. It is a great game graphically, it has decent tab target combat, a very deep, lore-rich world, and a very deep narrative. I know that. Perhaps you know that. Perhaps not, which is where today's video comes in. With the rising popularity of various AI programs, I thought it might be fun to see what an AI can tell me about Final Fantasy XIV. If it can capture the unique, intricate nuances that truly allow for the MMO to stand out amongst its competition. And the results were interesting. I asked an AI a series of questions, and these were its answers. Warning, I'm not responsible if any of these questions or answers trigger you. Before I have the AI explain Final Fantasy XIV, however, I want to take a moment here to thank all of my incredible patrons over on Patreon who allow for me to continue to do dumb videos like this every week. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch, where I stream MMOs every weekend. Now, as noted, I asked this AI a series of questions specifically pertaining to Final Fantasy XIV, and this is what it had to tell me. I started this off with a pretty easy question, and admittedly, it did give me a very basic yet arguably decent summary of the game and its features.
Final Fantasy XIV is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, where players create their own character and embark on quests and adventures in a fantasy world called Eorzea. In the game, you can choose a job or class for your character, such as a warrior, mage, or healer, and level up your character by completing missions and fighting enemies. You can also join a group of players called a free company, participate in events and raids, and even buy and decorate your own house. Overall, Final Fantasy XIV is a game that allows players to immerse themselves in a rich and detailed fantasy world while interacting with other players around the world.
I then got a little bit more personal, and I asked if the game was popular. This might be a slightly more difficult question, as it would be required to pull data from a variety of different resources to successfully answer that.
Yes, Final Fantasy XIV is a very popular MMORPG that has a large player base around the world. Since its relaunch as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn in 2013, the game has received critical acclaim for its engaging story, beautiful graphics, and immersive gameplay. The game has also seen a surge in popularity in recent years, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, when more people were looking for ways to connect and socialize online. In fact, as of 2021, Final Fantasy XIV has over 24 million registered players worldwide, making it one of the most successful MMORPGs of all time.
Admittedly, it did well. It cited the game's explosive surge in popularity over the course of the last few years, and even noted the statistics that Square revealed during conference calls. Now, after seeing what the AI could do, I wanted to have it directly compare its stats against another titan of the industry, World of Warcraft.
While Final Fantasy XIV has a significant player base and is considered one of the most successful MMORPGs, World of Warcraft WoW remains the most popular and iconic MMORPG in the world. As of 2021, WoW still boasts a larger player base than Final Fantasy XIV, with over 4 million active players worldwide compared to Final Fantasy XIV's 24 million registered players. WoW also holds several Guinness World Records for its player base, subscriber numbers, and revenue. That being said, Final Fantasy XIV has been steadily gaining popularity in recent years, and many players who are looking for a fresh and engaging MMORPG experience have been flocking to the game. So while it may not be as popular as WoW, Final Fantasy XIV has definitely carved out its own place in the MMORPG landscape.
These results were very surprising. While Endwalker definitely allowed for Final Fantasy XIV to surpass WoW during Shadowlands, Dragonflight has proven that WoW can definitely retain that top spot. But now that I've compared both games, now that I have directly touched on the population, I wanted to know if the AI could tell me what features set Final Fantasy apart from other MMOs? What makes this game unique?
Final Fantasy XIV sets itself apart from other MMORPGs in several key ways. Engaging story. Final Fantasy XIV has a highly engaging and immersive story that is told through a series of quests and cutscenes. The story is divided into multiple expansions, each with its own self-contained narrative arc, and a larger overarching story that ties everything together. Flexibility. Unlike many MMORPGs, Final Fantasy XIV allows players to switch between classes and jobs easily, without requiring them to create a new character. This allows players to explore different playstyles and rules without starting from scratch. Crafting and gathering. Final Fantasy XIV has an extensive crafting and gathering system that allows players to create their own gear and items, and even participate in the game's economy. Crafting and gathering classes are just as important as combat classes, and players can level them independently. Housing. Final Fantasy XIV allows players to buy and decorate their own houses, which can be used as a personal retreat, a place to socialize with friends, or even have a base of operations for their free company. Music and visuals. Final Fantasy XIV features beautiful graphics and incredible soundtrack composed by renowned Final Fantasy composer Nobu Uematsu, which helps to immerse players in the game's world and story. Overall, Final Fantasy XIV offers a unique and immersive MMORPG experience that sets itself apart from other games in the genre.
An engaging story, class flexibility, deep crafting, player housing, stunning visuals, and an incredible soundtrack. It's unreal how detailed this is getting. But does Final Fantasy XIV have a future, or will it slowly decline into obscurity like so many MMOs before it?
The future of Final Fantasy XIV looks bright, with the game continuing to receive updates, expansions, and new content. The latest expansion, Endwalker, is set to release in late 2021, which will bring a conclusion to the game's current story arc. Endwalker will introduce new areas, jobs, dungeons, raids, and other content for players to explore and enjoy. In addition to Endwalker, Final Fantasy XIV is expected to continue receiving updates and patches, which will introduce new features, quality of life improvements, and other enhancements to the game. Furthermore, Square Enix, the developer of Final Fantasy XIV, has expressed its commitment to supporting the game for years to come, and has even hinted at the possibility of a sequel or spin-off set in the same universe. Overall, fans of Final Fantasy XIV can look forward to a bright future with new content, updates, and potential even more games set in the same world.
Now, while it didn't account for Endwalker's release, it did note the regular update and the content release schedule, including Square's commitment to supporting the game for years to come, along with a possible sequel to Final Fantasy XIV. Wait, is this true? Oh my god, hello, new video idea? This all had me curious though, and I kind of backtracked a little bit because I was curious if Final Fantasy XIV could ever fully and truly replace the king of the genre.
It is difficult to say if Final Fantasy XIV will ever dethrone World of Warcraft as the most popular MMORPG. WoW has been around for over 16 years and has dedicated player base that is deeply invested in the game's lore, community, and gameplay. That being said, Final Fantasy XIV has been growing in popularity in recent years, and its engaging story, beautiful graphics, and immersive gameplay have attracted many new players to the game. If Final Fantasy XIV continues to receive regular updates, expansions, and new content, it could continue to attract new players and even gain ground on WoW's player base. However, it is unlikely that Final Fantasy XIV will completely dethrone WoW in the near future, given WoW's long-standing popularity and reputation in the gaming community.
That admittedly, not even the AI thinks that WoW players will ever truly let this game die. It will live on purely as a result of player hate for the game that just refuses to let them stop playing. Even though admittedly I am really enjoying Dragonflight. At this juncture though, I wanted to ask the AI a question from the perspective of a brand new player to the game. Is Final Fantasy XIV worth playing?
Yes, Final Fantasy XIV is definitely worth playing, especially if you are a fan of MMORPGs, Final Fantasy series, or both. The game offers a rich and immersive world to explore with engaging storylines, stunning visuals, an incredible soundtrack. Additionally, Final Fantasy XIV has a strong and friendly community, which can help newcomers to the game get started and feel supported as they progress. The game also offers a great deal of flexibility in terms of gameplay, allowing players to switch between classes and jobs easily and even engage in crafting and gathering activities if they prefer. Overall, Final Fantasy XIV is a game that can provide many hours of enjoyable gameplay and has been praised by players and critics alike for its quality and depth.
Evidently, the answer was a resounding yes. Even the AI knows that this game is really just that good. Now, I wanted to save the two most important questions for last. Number one, are Lalafels actually evil? Because let's be honest, they definitely come off that way. Those little potato bastards.
This AI is very boring. It didn't come up with anything interesting. No. Lalafels are not inherently evil in Final Fantasy XIV. Lalafels are one of the playable races in the game, and are known for their small stature, big heads, and cute appearance. Like all races in the game, Lalafels can choose to follow different paths, including the path of good or the path of evil. However, the game's lore does not suggest that Lalafels as a race are more prone to evil than any other race. That being said, there are certain characters in the game who are Lalafels and are portrayed as villains or antagonists, but this is more due to their personal choices and actions rather than their race. Overall, Lalafels are just another race in the game, and their morality is determined by the individual characters, not their race.
And the game gave me a very politically correct answer as to not anger either party. Damn it. And number two, is Y'shtola the ultimate waifu? What? Come on, you were all thinking it.
I am. Not interested, little son. Try again when you've become a man.
As an AI language model, I do not have personal opinions or preferences, but I can tell you that Y'shtola is a popular and well-liked character in Final Fantasy XIV. She is a powerful and intelligent mage who plays a significant role in the game's story, and her calm and collected personality has earned her many fans among the player base. However, the concept of waifu is subjective and varies from person to person, based on their personal tastes and preferences. Ultimately, whether or not Y'shtola is considered the ultimate waifu is up to individual interpretation.
And unfortunately, it refused to answer that one directly. But I mean, a guy's gotta shoot his shot, right? These are things we need to know. These are important facts. The AI in specific, though, decided to leave this up to individual interpretation because it knew how pissed off players would get if it said no, or also if it said yes. And that was Final Fantasy XIV explained by an AI. They were pretty difficult questions, and honestly, the answers were much better than I'd expected. Now, I'm curious what I can do with other MMOs. Now, if you're interested in other MMOs explained by an AI, I'm gonna have a new video series of this that you can find by clicking that playlist over on the right, or alternatively, click the video over on the left for a list of every MMO releasing in April 2023.